The struggle for dominance in the South China Sea is unfolding not only through military might or territorial occupation, but within the far more subtle and pervasive arena of perception and ideology. This is a battle without gunfire or explosions, but its impact is deep, far-reaching, and potentially just as destructive. At its heart is a contest over truth, legitimacy, and the very definitions that shape global understanding of sovereignty in the region. Rather than relying solely on warships and missiles, China has recalibrated its strategy to focus on influencing minds, both at home and abroad, through a coordinated campaign involving scholars, think tanks, media, and carefully chosen language, all aimed at redrawing the map of power in the South China Sea. The essence of this conflict revolves around a simple but powerful principle. Repeated falsehoods, if left unchallenged, can gradually become accepted fact. Conversely, the truth, when not asserted with clarity and conviction, can be cast into doubt or even denied. This is the core of China's so-called cognitive warfare in the South China Sea, a deliberate campaign to reshape the world's perception of the legitimacy of its maritime claims and to blunt international opposition, not through force, but by redefining what the world believes to be true. China's strategy underwent a significant shift in the aftermath of the 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which decisively rejected the legal basis for China's 9-line, the sweeping maritime claim that underpins Beijing's assertions in the South China Sea. In response to this legal defeat, China transitioned from direct displays of military force to a more subtle, comprehensive campaign that focuses on influencing global perceptions and undermining international resistance. This campaign is systematic and multifaceted, weaving together academic discourse, media narratives, diplomatic engagement, and economic leverage to create a reality in which China's claims appear not only plausible, but inevitable. A key pillar of this strategy is the deployment of a network of pro-Beijing scholars and prestigious research institutes. Bodies like the South China Sea Strategic Situation Probing Initiative and the China Institute for Marine Affairs play a pivotal role. These institutions publish reports, produce interactive maps, and organize international conferences, often inviting foreign academics to lend an air of objectivity to arguments that have, in reality, been predetermined. Their publications consistently emphasize the complexity of the disputes, the supposed lack of legal clarity, or the existence of multiple interpretations. The goal is to create a gray zone of perception, a space where the boundaries between fact, opinion, and propaganda become blurred, and where international opposition is softened by doubt and uncertainty. State-controlled media outlets such as China Daily, Global Times, and CGTN operate in tandem with these academic efforts. They broadcast Beijing's legal arguments in multiple languages, carefully tailoring their messaging to influence foreign audiences. This media strategy seeks not only to amplify China's perspective, but to subtly discredit opposing views, foster confusion, and shape the narrative on the global stage. Diplomatic engagement forms another vital dimension. China leverages international platforms, the United Nations, ASEAN forums, and maritime conferences to blur the lines between legal analysis and political advocacy. Here, Chinese diplomats and officials present their positions as reasoned and legitimate, seeking to normalize their claims and portray opposition as unreasonable or destabilizing. Economic leverage is wielded as both a carrot and a stick through promises of aid and investment. China secures the silence or support of countries such as Cambodia and Laos, while applying economic pressure on others like the Philippines and Vietnam. This approach fosters divisions within ASEAN, undermining collective responses and weakening regional resistance to Chinese ambitions. Simultaneously, China deliberately delays negotiations on a binding code of conduct for the South China Sea, preserving the status quo and solidifying its control over militarized artificial islands. Yet, this campaign of cognitive warfare is not conducted in isolation. It is closely integrated with ongoing military activities, including large-scale naval exercises, the deployment of advanced warships, and the continued militarization of artificial islands. These actions reinforce China's territorial claims with hard power, sending unmistakable signals to the region and the wider world. The international community has not remained passive in the face of China's cognitive campaign. The United States, Japan, Australia, the European Union, and others have unequivocally rejected the legal validity of the Nine-Dash Line and continue to assert freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. Independent research organizations, such as the Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative, have published satellite evidence documenting China's illegal militarization of islands. The U.S. Navy maintains a consistent presence through freedom of navigation operations and multilateral exercises, underscoring the commitment to upholding international law. Nevertheless, the persistence of China's distorted or unfounded claims continues to sow confusion and erode international unity. The cognitive war in the South China Sea undermines the foundations of international maritime law, deepens divisions among nations, especially within ASEAN, and threatens to normalize unlawful behavior as accepted practice. For Vietnam, and for other states facing the brunt of China's cognitive strategy, the challenge is formidable but not insurmountable. Crucially, China's campaign harbors certain inherent vulnerabilities, foremost among them its lack of genuine legal legitimacy. Vietnam can capitalize on the 2016 PCA ruling, which nullified China's Nine-Dash Line, to highlight the illegality of Beijing's claims and to strengthen its own rightful position. Transparency and evidence are potent tools. By publicizing concrete proof, such as satellite imagery of bomber deployments, records of diplomatic protests, and verifiable historical documentation, Vietnam can expose the coercive and unlawful nature of China's actions. Building robust alliances is essential. Vietnam can move beyond the confines of ASEAN to forge multilateral partnerships that present a united and principled stance, grounded in international law. Notable examples include enhanced cooperation with the Philippines and Indonesia, as demonstrated by the 2022 EEZ delimitation agreement with Indonesia. These efforts mitigate China's divide-and-conquer strategy and project a stronger collective voice. Appealing to the international community's sense of fairness and justice is another avenue. By highlighting the coercion and violations of sovereignty perpetrated by China, Vietnam can galvanize broader support for its cause. Greater participation in international academic forums, the promotion of independent research, and collaboration with global partners help to counter China's narrative and expose its legal and ethical shortcomings. In the digital age, the strategic use of social media and global platforms is indispensable. By disseminating clear, honest, and transparent messages, Vietnam can assert its legitimate claims and debunk distorted narratives, reaching audiences far beyond the region. Ultimately, securing long-term trust and legitimacy through steadfast adherence to international law, peaceful defense of sovereignty, and the cultivation of enduring diplomatic relationships. By doing so, Vietnam and other affected states can effectively neutralize China's cognitive warfare, defending not only their own interests, but the principles of international order. Despite China's efforts to manufacture an appearance of legitimacy, the absence of a solid legal foundation, imperfect information control, regional divisions, and a lack of authentic legitimacy to mean significant weaknesses. These vulnerabilities present opportunities for smaller nations, like Vietnam, to assert their rights, rally international support, and expose the realities behind China's cognitive warfare in the South China Sea. In this ongoing battle for truth, clarity, and justice, the resolve and strategic acumen of those who defend established norms will determine the future of the region's maritime order.